welcome back. It is already week 5. So last week you grilled us with some nutrition and training questions. So now it is our time to take your nutrition training to the next level and become nutrition experts.
Woo!
So what we're going to do in this video today is we are going to help you navigate through a grocery store and then also tips and tricks on how to read a label.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's get started. All right, guys, so starting with the grocery store. First, always go with a list. Second, don't go when you're hungry. Shop the perimeter, and then watch out for marketing traps. So to dive a little bit deeper, what's on the perimeter? That's usually the veggies, the fruits, the proteins, dairies, all the good things. And then what's in those center aisles is usually the things that get us in trouble. So the cookies, the ice cream, the chips, things like that. So billions of dollars are spent every year on marketing and only 5% is spent on healthy natural foods. So do not let them fool you. Make sure that you think of these 4 things, and then that will help you avoid unnecessary junk food, and it'll help you plan ahead and set yourself up for success.
All right, guys. So now that you know how to navigate your way through the grocery store, we want to make sure that you're armed and ready to read a label. So we know that it's not realistic that everything in your pantry or your refrigerator is going to be whole, real food. Obviously, consuming as much as we can is great, but we also need to know how to make an educated decision when comparing things that come with a label. So a couple of things we're going to start with. We're going to have 5 tips for you of things I want you to start thinking about whenever it comes to looking at the label. First one is going to be the serving size, right? So super important is whatever you're looking at, whatever the product is, anything that's going to be on the nutrition label, you'll need to know the serving size first. So most importantly, we're going to use this can of beans as a good example. So right here, if you guys can see it, the serving size, right? So it's for half a cup. That means within this can, it says servings per container, 3.5. So if you were to have this whole can of beans, you'd have to take everything on the food label and multiply it 3.5 times to obviously get the total amount that you're consuming. So if you're just sticking with 1 serving, you would need to measure out half a cup to make sure that you're getting exactly what it says back here. So once you've kind of done that and you know what it is that you're looking at in your reference tool there, we want you to go ahead and move into tip number 2, the ingredients. So when it comes to looking at the ingredients, a couple of things to keep in mind. You want it to be as minimal as you can. So my favorite example here, so this can of beans, right? A convenient item, something we would find in those center aisles. The ingredients listed are garbanzo beans and water. So one ingredient, right? 1 item. This is great. This is pretty much a whole real food and it's convenient. Another common convenient item that you would find in the center aisles, protein bars, right? Always getting questions about the protein bars. So when we take a look at their ingredients list,
You can see that.
boom, 50,000, right? There's a ton, it's endless. So as I start looking through here, there's things I can't pronounce, things with crazy names. So that's your first warning sign that this might be something that you need to consider. Is it a good or is it a not so good choice? So once you've done that, the next thing you need to do is determine, okay, so between the 2, what's something in the middle aisle that you would say is a good choice? Whole real food, maybe not so good, protein bars, right? Some of those other cereals, other things with multiple ingredients. Now, once you've determined some of the foods that are good versus bad, we need to determine how do you choose between 2, right? So you're standing in front of all the protein bars and you know you're gonna purchase protein bars. How do you decide which one's better than the other, right? Right, tip number 3. Now we want you to know which nutrients are the main concerns or things that we look at when we're looking at the back of a label. So the 3 things are sugar, protein, and fiber. When we go to compare 2 protein bars again, we're gonna start taking a look here. We've got protein, Paige, what do we have? How much?
20 grams.
20 grams, and what about in the pure protein?
We got 20 grams.
All right, so far even. We've got Quest Bar and pure protein even here. Once we look at the fiber,
15.
All right, 15 grams in the Quest Bar and
Less than 1.
ooh, all right, so now this Quest Bar's got a leg up. And then our last and final one is gonna be sugar. And this is the one that is gonna really, really trump all, right? We know anything that comes in a box is gonna be your convenience items that are gonna be easy places for there to be hidden added sugars. So once we start looking on here, Paige, what do we have in the Quest bar?
1
gram.
2 grams.
2 grams. All right, so pretty even there. Really, when we look at the two, right, sugar's not gonna be one of those big things that kind of cancels the other out, but we know protein bars are really easy for there to be over 20 grams sometimes. So a good rule of thumb is if it has less than 10 grams, it is a convenience items or a processed food that we can kind of keep in there and consider it being okay. So now, choice, Paige, which one would you pick?
Quest bar!
Quest bar, that's right, nailed it. All right, tip number
4.
Woo, almost there, guys, hang in there. So now, once we've kind of determined that something is a good choice, we want to have a couple disclaimers on other things that we get a lot. So, oh, well, this one's lower carb, or this one's lower fat, right? How do we navigate this? So, truthfully, when we look at these, we've already determined the Quest bar is the better one, but if I were to have just walked up and I were to have looked at the carbs and walked away, this Quest bar has 22 grams and this pure
17.
protein has 17, right? So I would have walked away with this one without having looked at all those other things, which would have clearly outweighed the Quest bar as being the better one. So what it really comes down to is not necessarily how many, but what are the sources, right? So if we look at two things and one, the ingredients label was saying that all of your carbs were from cane sugar or high fructose corn syrup, right? That would be a bad thing, right? No matter how many grams are in there. Now, on the other hand, if we have, say, a protein bar that's made with oats, bananas, dates, that's still gonna contribute some sugar, but it's coming from natural, real sources, right? It's a lot better and easier on our systems. So when it comes to looking at the fat and the carbs, we need to be aware of those things, but not necessarily grams, more of their sources and where they come from.
Yep.
And
Tip number 5!
all right, guys, last but not least, we have crazy claims. So things like gluten-free, right? We've got low cholesterol, good source of fiber, whole grain. So which of these matter, which of them don't? We have your cheat sheet attached below. We're gonna have it in the WhatsApp group so that you can help navigate which of these matter to you and which ones are real versus fake. So keep in mind, just because it says gluten-free doesn't mean that it's a healthy choice. Even things like Cheetos are gluten-free. Doesn't mean I want you piling them in your cart. So check out the tips below on how to read food claims. All right, guys, so my closing thought with all those tips and tricks is for you to take a look at your cart before you leave next time and how many labels are you actually having to look at. So make sure you're keeping it mostly whole, real food, but use these tips and tricks when you're looking to compare items.
So we hope next time you go to the grocery store, you use some of these. Also, I want to make sure that you check out Mary Matt Pilates, that's kind of a tongue twister, this Saturday at 10 a.m. So Pilates is really great for core strength, really good for posture, easy on your joints, and it increases your flexibility. So make sure that you check it out. Have a great week and enjoy.
See you guys.
Bye.